Welcome. Here we are again. So cool. Sunday afternoon, lovely day outside, nice and cool. And here I am coming through to you on this rather amazing day. I have all kinds of concerns because I haven't done that many of these live broadcasts, and there's all the technology and stuff. Speaking of technology, I'd like to introduce you to some new gear I got. I was concerned that my camera shots were not nice enough, and so I moved my Sony A7 IV to this shot, and then I just recently purchased what is known as an OBS bot, and that's this camera here. And so far, it's pretty good. I'm liking it. And then what I did was I moved my other camera, which was the reason for the purchase, my PTZ camera, over to the side here because it seemed like it was doing too much. I don't know. It was too much glare and stuff. So you tell me what you think. That's this one. So this is the one that I've been using as the main camera, but as you can see, there's a lot of glare here. Working on that lighting thing a little bit. The normal amount of lighting that I use for the other cameras, and this one just picks up all my forehead, all the shine, and I got plenty of shine, baby. A little bit too little hair and lots of forehead. But you know, I can't do anything with that. I just got to do the best with what I got. Maybe you can relate. So that's camera 3. This one's number 1. And as I say, this is a full frame. Supposed to have plenty of depth and great stuff in it. And hopefully that's going to give me a better image. I think it's a little better in focus. It still has a little bit too much. I don't know about the glare thing. It's pretty good. And then the one I was talking about, which I just got, which I'm pretty impressed with so far, this one is doing pretty good too. So this one moves with me. You see me moving over here? Oh yeah, don't forget. I got a light. See that back there? I'm going to get me another one. I felt like that the black background here was just a little bit too dull, a little bit too boring. And the other lights that I had, they just weren't covering, they just didn't have enough intensity or enough light. So this one here is kind of cool. Maybe I should shift over here to this one. You can see the light better with this one. So here is the choices I have. Maybe you can tell me which one you like the best. Here's green, obviously. Here is the lovely red. Blue, like we had it. And then this one is white. And this one is more of a yellow. So because I only have one of these, I was trying to figure out how to do this. And see, if I sit up straight, like my mom told me I should always sit up straight, then it blocks the light, it blocks the pole, the LED pole, but it keeps some light going in there. So yeah, that's my latest I think I kind of am partial to the blue so far. My favorite color is purple, so I think this is kind of pretty close. But it causes a problem, in terms of the logistics, obviously, because this camera, I can block the pole, but then when I go over to this camera, I kind of got to move around. So I think I'm going to do is I'm going to get me another one of these, and just put it on the sides, and then that way I can, I don't have to worry about covering up the pole. It's just there. Do you love it when I nerd out like this, like the technology thing? And clearly I could rotate this thing around so it's like punching right into the camera, but I think that might be a little bit much. I don't know. You can tell me what you think, or not. I'll just make up my own mind, which I've been training to do. I think maybe I should do more of that. That's blue. Let's see what the green looks like. Maybe that could work. I don't know. I didn't think I thought it would be too much to have it facing into the camera. That one's a bit bold. So, we'll see. I'm just trying to improve things all the time. I like to have things get better and better. I want to have just a very cool, interesting podcast for you. I want to have just the very best possible content, the nice look, make it colorful, make it look professional, make it look precise. Yeah, all those things. So I wonder how I can do that. We'll see, won't we? All right. Enough of the technology stuff. Get my mic out here. Sounds a little bit better if I talk into it directly. Surprising, isn't it? That's the other thing I've been working on is the audio. I want it to be much, much better. And so we'll just see how that goes. Okay, I'm going to switch off just for a second here and come right back. See if we can figure this out. Yeah, doing this thing live is a bit of an art. See how well it works. One of the areas that I want to work on with regards to my podcast with you is that I want to create kind of a personal space. And part of that is for me to allow me to be vulnerable, to expose myself and my frailties, my foibles, my fears. It's an F day today. And also in connection with that, to expose the opposite, which is to expose the greatness and the divinity and all the cool things that's going on in my life. So we'll try and balance it. We'll have both. And I would like to create this beautiful space for you where by proxy you can have similar feelings, similar concerns, similar stuff, and we can feel our way through this where you can see me doing what I do and maybe you can do some of the same, and then you can teach me as well. But ultimately, I want to create this space where I'm comfortable in being vulnerable and being weak and fragile at times, and you can also in your life, and then also want to create a space where I am feeling great and successful and moving forward, and you can share in that as well. So I feel like this is a real great opportunity. I'll share with you just a couple of personal things for this live broadcast. Last week when I did this, or the week before, I felt like I needed to edit some stuff because when I talk, I'm not aware of it, but I do some ums and ands, and there's pauses. And so what I did was I did the live broadcast and then I edited it down. And what I noticed when I looked at the analytics on this, that the version of it that was edited, that was cleaned up, it was tighter, it's better in terms of my English and what I'm saying. It got quite a few more hits or views than I did on the other one. So I am going to try to find a balance where I want to edit, I want to keep it tight and clean and nice for you to listen to without all my fillers, my ums and my ahs and all that stuff. But then I also want to give myself permission and give you permission as well to be myself, to be yourself, and to be okay with the mistakes and the different human factors that we have. Because when we're doing something live like this and it's all unrehearsed and it's not scripted, then it makes for kind of a difficult situation because there's some exposure there because you're just running free and there's not a lot of structure there. So I'm just trying to explain to you why you might see two versions of the live broadcast that I'm doing, two versions of it on the channel, because one is the raw unbiased, and the other is cleaned up a bit and tightened up and made a little better. So that's explanation there on why you might see some duplicates. I found some very interesting, see there I'm doing an thoughts about things, about my life. That's another thing I do is for some reason when I talk, when I'm going into a new phrase or sentence, I sometimes, and it's bothered me for the longest times, and now I'm seeing it more and I try to edit it out. I just want to ask for your forgiveness for those kinds of speaking entanglements that I do, and understand that I would dearly love to get those out, and sometimes I do through the edit. But if I don't, then please understand that my intention is to share with you openly and freely, and that means that I'm going to make some mistakes in speaking, in some strange pauses and some habitual noises that I make. As I was thinking about this last night, I realized that one of my greatest fears, which I've expressed to you before, which has been an ongoing thing, is this concern I have of being exposed in terms of my practice, my most beloved practice, my most wonderful piece of my life, really, is this practice that every one of us can do, which is to go into our thinking, our thought processes, ask questions, and then get help from the divine. And this kind of unfolds in many different ways for different people. I'm not proposing that the way I do it is the best way or the only way by any stretch, but is definitely the best way for me. And I feel like if you were to try it, it would be the best way for you as well. People do different things to connect with the divine, like prayer and meditation and all kinds of different practices. But for me, what the part that works the best for me, because I'm a kind of a people person, I'm a speaker, I'm a conversationalist natively. What works for me is not to ask a question or say a prayer or meditate and wait. I am natively not that patient. And for 40 years of my life, I prayed almost every night and morning to get help from God, and I never got anything back. And it just got boring, it just got redundant, it got ineffective and inefficient. And then I discovered that I could have, you could have, a real conversation, but it's a different conversation than what we're having here. Because I have vocal cords and you have ears and vice versa. And that whole process of having a conversation relies upon these sounds that we make with our vocal cords, that we hear the vibrations with our ears, and then we can have a conversation back and forth. Well, what happens when you don't have vocal cords? What happens when you don't have ears, which is what happens when we die? How do you communicate then? And what the way we communicate, as I understand it, is that we communicate through thoughts. And it's actually a very efficient process because it's not just the thoughts or the ideas, but it's built into this full, highly charged multimedia experience where it's not just ideas or thinking, it's all the feelings, all the sensations, all the connections that come along with that. So I thought it would be very interesting to ask about this because I sensed that I had fears, and that's why I haven't been doing it more with you. My fears were that you'd listen to me, and it's kind of slow when I do this because I ask a question and I'll listen, and the idea comes to me, and then I have to formulate words, and there's like this slow process of the interpretation process going on all the time. And I was afraid that you'd get bored with what I was saying because it was a little bit slower, and that you'd stop listening. And that's the last thing I want, because these ideas that I get are so amazing. These entities are so loving and kind and wonderful and so insightful. There's so much wisdom in the universe. And so I didn't want you to do that. So I recommended previously that if it's too slow for you, you can do what a lot of people do and just turn the speed up and just listen to it quicker if you want to shorten the time. But I also think there's some value in just being calm and relaxing and just let some of these ideas absorb. And sometimes that takes time. And sometimes when I make a pause, I'm trying to get a new idea and I'm trying to formulate something else that they're sharing with me. Then maybe it's a good time for you to think about this and to process and to ponder over the ideas that just came before something else comes. So I think like there's an advantage and a disadvantage to the pace or the cadence that I share with you. And I hope that you can just manage that yourself. I do hope, sincerely, that you look at these ideas and concepts and really process them and bring them home for you because they're so profound. I say that, but I know whereof I speak. I've had over 30 years of experience like this, and I tell you that when you think about the ideas, when you feel the feelings and the emotions that are precipitated by these ideas, and you get into this really beautiful, calm space, it's quite amazing. It's the best therapy ever, by far. Because what we're doing is they're taking wherever it is that we are at the time and contextually giving us ideas that help us to process our lives in a different way, in a way that is couched in the space of love, of care, of understanding, of the wisdom of the eons that has been accumulated in such a form that is so powerful. It's much better, in my view, than any kind of earthly help we can get, because it's so powerful and so insightful. So I think that's a good introduction for this. But when I asked the goddess last night about this, she said that I need to do more of this because the process is good for me and it's a process is good for you. And the reason for that is that there's so much good knowledge available in the universe. And she said that if I did this from now until eternity, I still would not be able to grasp the depth and the complexity of all that's available. And so that I need to step up and get past my fears. So I thought today I'd try this with you again to just introduce you to some of the concepts. Again, this is raw, this is vulnerable. I have no idea in advance what's going to come or how it's going to come. Most of it has to do, it's focused on me to a certain degree, but it's also focused on all of you as well, because this is not specific to me. The concerns we have as humans are very common, and we are all in this big soup together. And so the ideas that I get are just as appropriate for you as they are for me. But I have to tell you that they're couched around the concerns that I have as a human being about this person named Para. And so I hopefully can convince you that you can sit back and relax and enjoy this process with me. And I'm going to do more of it just because they encouraged me and they told me how important it is. And if I need to get over my fears, my worries about how you're going to process it, because you can process it any way you want in 1,000 different ways, or as many ways as there are people listening. And I feel like this process of connecting to the divine is the most fundamental aspect of it, of what we are as souls, because as I say, when we die, we do not have our sensory system, we don't have our whole senses of touch and feel and some of those other things that are hearing and speaking that we would have if we had a body. And so this is great practice. It's a great way of training ourselves to be able to listen, absorb, understand, and translate that into something that's useful. Now, what I wanted to do as a process of this, and again, this is new technology, so bear with me, but I thought it'd be interesting, just since I have this new camera that follows me around, I thought it'd be interesting to try this and stand up and wander around a little bit, do the lawyer thing, just because I feel like sometimes standing up is a way of, I guess it's a little more active, a little more metabolism connected with it, and it might be that I can be a better recipient of these ideas, but I also think that it'll be interesting also with regards to what we're doing here is that this is a podcast, and I don't want it to be just stationary. I just don't want it to be the same. I think in order to create a better quality product for you, it's got to be a little more interesting. So I'm going to switch over here, and then I'm going to show you a little bit about what's possible in terms of this connection. So in order to do this, I'm going to have to get up, and let's see just how well there we go. Get back here where you can still got some curtains. How's that? Not bad. So what happens typically is I just have to get quiet. I need to shift my thinking from me focus on you and speaking and shift into the ideas that come to me. And then having done that, then I can open myself up to the ideas that flow to me. And again, this is a process that anybody can do. It's just something that has been very, very important, probably critical to my well-being in my life thus far for the last 30 plus years. And I feel like it's the best practice that anybody can possibly get involved in. So let's see how this works. I'll move over here a little bit. Not bad, not bad. I think that's not bad. Just cover up our little light stick, get a little blue in here. Yeah, just like right there. Okay. Here we go. It is healthy for you to expose yourself, expose your frailties, expose your vulnerabilities, and to get to a place where you are more open to life and to ideas. The reason for this is that you have so much stimulation in your normal world. So you have what's going on in the world here and here, what's going on around you in your life, and all those different scenarios where there are so many distractions, so many different things going on that you rarely get a time to turn that off. So what we're doing here is we're insisting that you concentrate on the idea flow that comes to you as a result of your request for some help. And this process is very, very healthy for you, because not only does it shut off the outside world, all the different things that's going on with you, your life, your concerns, all the different things that's happening with you, but it's also giving you a new opportunity to learn some things that are rather new. We say rather new because new is relative, because you have known all this stuff prior to your existence and will know even more after this existence. And so what it means is that you are not learning something necessarily new, but you're remembering something that already existed in your life, something that you felt like it was important for you to come and relearn in a different space. So there's this forgetting that occurs, and then there's this reinforcement of those ideas in your experience. And the experiences that you have as a human are there to expose and to reinforce the ideas that you had before. So you may have forgotten, for example, about your divinity, and then you have an experience with someone else where you realize that they are divine, and they're showing off and exhibiting their divinity so that you can see that part of them, and that reminds you of your divinity. And that reminds you of what it is that you had forgotten or that you had chosen to hide because of the illusions that you create for yourself. You can create illusions that you're not great. You can create illusions that you're not doing very well, or that you're subpar in terms of your performances in life. But there's also a very strong argument for not doing that, and to expressing yourself in the fullness of your glory, of the fullness of your knowledge, of the fullness of everything that you are. So there's a point of view that we are rehearsing with you, that we are reinforcing with you, that it's important that you go to this space of your divinity, go to this place of your greatness on a frequent basis. And probably the most helpful version of this is to do this in a format with us. Because what we can do is we can share the ideas with you that you need, that you want to participate in. And it makes for a new experience, a common experience between us and you, and that we can then share the best ideas of the universe, the best ideas and concepts that are available in the universe. This is important to you because the more awareness you have as to what's going on with you in relation to what's around you. The more experience you have, the more you learn. You learn through your experiences. Much of what you learn using your cell phone or your computers is not that healthy. And so it's very important for you to be able to reset, to check back in on a regular basis so that you can get the bigger picture, the broad perspective that is available from the universe, as opposed to these narrow little small thinking that a lot of people share with you through your media and so on. So the idea is that if you have a great opportunity like this to shut everything off and to open up the expanse of the universe, of the bigger concepts, then this is an experience that you want to do, not just like once every so often or when you have a problem, but you want to do this on a regular basis so that what you have is this opportunity to have a regular reinforcement, a regular recurrence of what is more important in the universal space. The possibility of developing yourself through developing the relationships you have with us, through developing your concepts and the ideas of what you're capable of what your possibilities are, that's where the real muscle comes in terms of your life. Ultimately, most of the things that you do in your life, for example, things that you do like having to make money, having to do this and that to appeal to others or to compete or to have more of this or more than that than other people, most of that is not important because that all goes away when you come back. And so what that means is that there is an argument to say that much of what you put attention towards right now, much of what you do in life is superfluous. It's not so important. But what is important is that you have these experiences, this kind of life experiences where you have an opportunity to grow here, grow there, develop yourself, because the only thing that you can take with you when you die, when you pass to this new space, are the qualities you have, the ideas you developed, and more importantly, the characteristics that you've created and expanded on. So if you have put all your time and attention towards, say, for example, getting more toys or making more money or getting more visibility from others, that doesn't go with you. But what does go with you is what you build up inside, how you live in such a way to develop conceptual, strong, firm-built relationships. And when you do this, then you've got a real opportunity because then that all goes back with you. There are as many opportunities as there are people. And so one of the difficult parts about being human is that we have provided so many options to you, so many possibilities, that you have to kind of narrow it down. You have to select which opportunities, which possibilities you want to explore. And that is almost as difficult as exploring the opportunities sometimes. However, there are some things that natively you are interested in, things that you enjoy that kept coming back to you. For example, in your case is the communication you've had with us, this relationship you're building, the strength of that love, the strength of that bond has been very, very important to you and very compelling. It's probably one of the only things that you've ever stayed with in your life. And because all the rewards and all the gifts and all the many benefits that come to you as a result of this. And so it's natural that you would want to share this with other people and help them to see that this is a great possibility for everyone. We love you, we care for you. You know this because we're always there all the time with great ideas, with great concepts. Just look at what just happened just now. All you had to do is just turn everything off and come with us And you got some really great concepts, some reminders, some reinforcement for some of the ideas that you already knew but had forgotten about because you got so entangled with all the stuff in life, all the pieces of life that are capturing your attention, all the things about money and things and stuff and all the events and all the things that people are doing around you. And yet that's not so helpful for you. It's not so useful for you. What is useful for you is when you go inside, find your strength, find your courage, find your space of possibilities, and then once you've found that, is you work with that, you develop this. And then as you develop yourself, then you have the satisfaction of knowing that you're growing, you're achieving, you're developing, you're moving into a new space of comfort, of sensibility, of really greater possibilities for yourself, because this is the way that you work. This is the way that helps you to step up and to move forward. This is the process. This is not something to be afraid of, or to be afraid of sharing, or to be afraid of exposing yourself, because this is for you, but it's also for those that listen, that they can feel what's going on with you, and they can feel our love, our concern, our interest in your progress, in all of your progress, in building the all the universe together into a beautiful, loving space for where everybody can live and enjoy their time as a person with a body, and also other times as well. Thank you. I appreciate all that you have told me and share. I appreciate the courage that you've given me. I appreciate how good I feel right now, how much better I am with regards to not focusing on my worries and my fretting about how this comes across, or who is listening, or how they're interpreting this stuff. It's really better for me now, and I appreciate that. To you who are listening, I want to reinforce the statement I say, I believe in every podcast, which is that I love you and I care for you. And that's true. I don't know you as a person, but I know that you have great value, great worth, you have great potential, and that your soul is connected to me like it is to all the rest of the universe, and that we have an opportunity together to work together, to have some fun, to enjoy all the great ideas and all the great experiences that are available to us. So I give that to you in the spirit of humility, in the spirit of a sense that I am not much at times, but there's other times when I feel my divinity, and I hope that you feel that as well, and that you feel my love. So let's see what happens now, how we shut this down. I got my little camera following me around. See, it's like a little puppy dog. All right, so let's go back here to the other camera. All right. So here we are, and I'm going to bid you adieu. See what happens with the end of this. Okay, we're going to end the stream. I will see you on the next one. I love you and hope you have great fun. See ya.